unforgettable Andy and Phantom Dark Dave. The Screaming Skull Podcast.
What's up, everybody? You're listening to a brand new episode of the Screaming Skull Podcast, and we are your hosts. I'm Phantom Dark Dave.
And I'm Abnormal Andy.
Andy, how's the weather there, man?
It's cold.
Is it?
I think it's finally gotten above freezing today. Like above
Ah.
32, you know.
Yeah, I don't envy the weather most times where you're at over in the Kansas area because I've seen some pictures and it gets pretty cold there.
Yeah, we still have snow on the ground, so just waiting for that to melt and then I'll be happy.
Listeners might know I live in Texas, and we recently just had our version of the winter storm. And when there's any kind of snow or ice, the whole state pretty much just shuts down because we do not have an infrastructure for that type of stuff. Which means you're locked inside and you're watching horror movies, so it's kind of great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we still have to get out and get in it. I mean, if there's like ice or something, I don't really get out too much, but if there's just snow, I'll get in it and drive around, have a little fun, I guess.
Yeah, I mean you got to make trips to the store and get that Mountain Dew, am I right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's
Andy,
what
I
gets me through.
am I am between 2 and 3 months now of no Monster energy drinks, and I feel like I'm losing my mind.
What? Dang, dude.
Yeah, yeah, it's been
Having
rough.
the having the
The with
shakes yet?
Oh, absolutely, the withdrawals and the whole 9 yards. I'm in it this time. Like I'm good. I'm done. And that may be funny to somebody because they probably are younger and drinking a lot of energy drinks. And I drank Monster for over 20 years, and so that was kind of my drug. That was the only thing that I really used as a substance to make myself happy. And Julie brought up an interesting point. She's like, "You know why you're having a hard time?" I was like, "Well, yes, but tell me." And she's like, "Because you associated Monster with everything you do. Every time you watch a movie, you're used to drinking Monster. Every time you do a
Oh,
podcast, you've usually just Monstered up. So now I'm doing all these other things without a Monster, and all it does is remind me, no Monster. And so if somebody out there has quit Monster and they're hearing me talk about it, I'm sorry I'm putting you in that place."
yeah. Yeah, it's rough. I mean, I'm sure it's rough. I mean, just anything that any like I don't want to say bad habit, but any habit that you just want to stop, that's it's hard, it's not easy.
Yeah, man. But you know what? If I'm being honest, I'd rather give up Monster Energy drink than give up podcasting with you, my dude.
All right. Well, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to keep this show going. And that's because we have a horror podcast, and damn, we love horror movies. And, we just came off the hills of doing oh, geez, what was it? The Terror Train episode. And here we are now, February, and Andy and I have been talking, and, we're a little behind schedule, but we wanted to make up for it. And then we noticed, wow, it's also like the month of Scream 7. Like, what are we going to do on the podcast? And, I've been wanting to do a top five, and then Andy's kind of thrown some movies at me that he wanted to review, and we kind of settled on trying to do 3 episodes this month. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we're a little behind, so that's why we're gonna do three this month. But also just because of the special time of the year, the Scream celebration, and do we want to get into that now, or do we want to wait until after at the end of the episode to tell people?
Let's make them stick around to the end, then they can find
Okay.
out what special treat we have planned.
All right.
But Andy, all right. So you chose Terror Train. You passed the torch to me. So what do you want to do on the next episode? I've already admitted I wanted to do a top five, but what top five did I want to do? The funny thing is, this is an idea that you came up with, probably a month or two ago, and I just kind of circled back around to it and said, Andy, now's the time.
Yeah, yeah, it's a fun little idea. It's the our top five beginnings of horror movies. Like,
Yeah, our
yeah,
favorites though, so
top five.
we're not some of these movies might be popular, some might not. We're not
Oh yeah,
going in this as critics, but
right.
I'm assuming that maybe it was easy for you, maybe it wasn't, I don't know, but all the openings on your list have pretty much had some effect on you over time, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. All of them have, like, just the ones that I just come to mind basically when I think about the great horror movie openings or, first scenes. So yeah, I
Right.
mean, this
Stuff
is
that's
just
like stuck with you, stuff
yeah.
you find yourself thinking about. And it's funny, I told my brother Ed the Undead about this episode. He's like, "Which one, what are you guys doing next?" And I told him, he looked at me and he's like, "That's a really cool idea." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's Andy's idea." And then it got quiet. And then he's like, "So what constitutes in that? Like, what do you think about?" And that was the best conversation we had in the van because I was like, "Dude, like almost anything works for this. It could be just the credits that you love. It could be
Oh yeah.
of the way a movie just packs its punch. It could be a movie that totally sucks, but the beginning was so good. You know what I mean? Maybe it sets you up for failure. I don't know, but the fact of the matter is that all these movies on our list today are gonna have some kind of badass opening, or it's gonna be something that it just latched onto you and never let go.
Yeah, it's funny how like the first 10 or 15 minutes can either make or break a horror movie for us. And I mean, yeah, it's all about it's like you said, there's different things that can make up a great opening, like tone, whatever, maybe it sets up high stakes for the rest of the movie.
Maybe an opening kill.
Exactly, yeah, it just sets up the impact, and it's not necessarily about, I don't know, like critical acting or, but it could be, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
But
if it happens to be your favorite, then why not, right?
yeah.
All right, my dude. How do you want to do this? I mean, I came up with five in honorable mention. I'm sure you did the same. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so for my honorable mention, this is When a Stranger Calls from 1979. So, and basically the opening act is basically like a short film on its own to me. You have this isolation of the babysitter. You got these phone calls that get like crazier and crazier as they go. So this is like really psychological horror, and so it's a really good example of that, like the tension, the suspense. You have a babysitter alone in the house. So being alone in a big house, especially in a stranger's house or a house that's not yours, that's kind of a universal fear, I think. And you don't get a whole lot of visuals, and it forces us to kind of imagine what's happened, as the calls progress and you find out more and more about what's happening. And so, like, I guess to break it down, like, yeah, it's a babysitter. She's babysitting some kids. She's put them to bed, and then after that, she starts getting these phone calls. And I think like they kind of talk about, have you checked the children, and things like that. And at first I think she thinks they're like prank calls, but then they get more serious and more unnerving to her, and it keeps asking her to check the children, and then finally there's a reveal. The calls are coming from inside the house, and so that's really like that really sticks with me, and it kind of sets the expectations for the rest of the movie, but I don't think the rest of the movie never quite matches that level, really, to be honest.
Is it one of those situations where you've already mentioned it was almost like two different movies in a vibe wise, but you take that first opening and that could be like a short film all on its own?
Yeah, you could like once the credits start rolling or whatever. I can't remember if the credits are before or after that scene, but once that scene's over, you could just roll in credits and be done basically, and it would be fine. It would only be like 20 minutes, but or whatever. But
Right. Well, hence short film, but
yeah,
I've seen that movie, but I haven't seen it in, oh geez, over 20 years. I remember watching it on VHS. It has Carol Kane in it, and I
yeah,
actually saw that movie before seeing Black Christmas, and I was like, what an original idea. And then I saw Black Christmas and they did the same thing, but it's like months to maybe 1 year prior. It's pretty close.
yeah, yeah. It is.
But
It does have a similar feel to Black Christmas for sure
the
with the
phone calls are
phone
much
calls.
different though.
Yeah, yeah,
Awesome. That's a good way to start a list, my dude.
yeah.
All right, my honorable mention. This is the oldest movie on my list. I'm taking you back to 1963. It's the opening for Dementia 13. Have you seen Dementia 13?
Oh, I have. I'm trying to remember the opening. I can't remember it.
Okay, so well, good. That's why I'm here. Here we go.
All right.
So I really like this opening because it opens up and it's pitch black outside, and we hear some kind of like rockabilly music playing, and we see a guy. He's dressed in a suit, and he's got one of those little personal radios held up to his ear, and he's walking down a dock towards a rowboat. And then, like 5 feet behind him, he's being followed by his wife, and she's like, "Oh, come to bed." And he's like, "No, I want to take the boat out for a while." And so she stays persistent, and she follows him into the boat. And so, okay, they start going out into the water, and immediately the mood is set because it's the middle of the night and they're rolling down what looks like the darkest fucking lake I have ever seen. And I'm afraid of water, so this is terrifying. She's smoking a cigarette and she just starts complaining to him about a will that his mom had left. And it becomes painfully obvious that there's trouble in paradise and that she's only with him for the money. And so, they're bickering just to make matters worse. She starts hating on his music. So, what does he do, Andy? He cranks it up a little louder. He starts rowing pretty aggressively to the point where it's almost like he's trying to like drown out her nagging because she just keeps going on and on. But he does it so much so that he has a heart attack. And so, he falls over in the boat and she's freaking out and she's like, "Where are your pills?" And he tells her, "They're in my pocket." And so she's trying to hurry and get them. And by dude, he's dying, but then he starts laughing because she finds an empty bottle and he's just like, "Ha, if I die, you get nothing." And again, this is like foiling the plan that she has. And so he actually does die. And then she kind of stops and she drops anchor and you're like, "Oh shit, what's about to happen?" So she takes and she throws him out of the boat. He falls into the water. We see him sink to the bottom. All the meanwhile, you still hear that really loud rockabilly music playing. She takes the radio and she throws it in the water after him. And the radio, I love this part because you see the radio sink down and it like lands and hits him on the chest. But as it goes down, the music kind of starts to muffle and become distorted. And somehow they manage to like blend it into the creepy ass intro music of Dementia 13. And so, you know, I put this one as an honorable mention because I think the other five on my list are better. But every time I watch this movie, I'm always kind of fixated by the opening because right away you're like, I know who the villain is in this movie. And so if you've never seen it, I always recommend Dementia 13 because it's one of those movies that some people are like, I don't like old horror movies, but then they kind of refer to things like monster movies or radioactive. And Andy and I love that stuff, but a lot of people kind of like slashers only. Well, this is an early slasher that came out just a couple years after Psycho, but never seems to get the recognition it deserves. So, yeah, honorable mention, Dementia 13.
Yeah, you don't hear a lot about this movie, but yeah, the opening does sound pretty cool. I know I've seen the movie before, and it is has a really cool like atmosphere to it. Just this kind of mysterious family, and like you mentioned, there's like this kind of fight over uh, money, inheritance and things like that. And so yeah, and it is definitely an example of an early slasher, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
whodunit.
yeah, it's a whodunit. So and yeah, so such a great setup to a good movie, and yeah, I love what you're talking about. How the radio, the music kind of morphs into the
Yes.
creepy title credits, and that sounds really cool. So I really appreciate when soundtracks or scores do things like that. It's really cool.
Yeah, and just to kind of put that in perspective, the intro credit music, it goes from like that rockabilly and then it kind of fades into a eerie, almost like Twilight Zone, Outer Limits-ish type intro. But then the background that you see to the credits are very like Edgar Allan Poe art. It's like really weird and eerie and gothic. It's fantastic.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have to watch that again.
Maybe we'll cover it one day.
All right.
What you got for number five?
Okay, number five. This is a little bit newer movie. This is Dawn of the Dead from 2004. Um, I love the beginning. Is the reason why it works is just you have immediate chaos. There's no slow burn, no setup. You have this like suburban normal life, it collapsing, in real time. Um, you have this like it's the opening starts out very calm. Um, and it's just like boom, here we are. You get that little girl zombie reveal, which is really cool. It's a shock and it's kind of a gut punch, because it's just not something you expect. The even the husband when he went to check on the little girl, he didn't expect there to be violence from her. Didn't see her as the threat. And then you had Johnny Cash's "The Man Comes Around" song playing, and you get this like news footage and all this stuff, and so it just kind of establishes the scale of the movie, like how widespread this is, and like kind of the tone, the pace of the movie, and the brutality of it too. So it just really gets you going for the rest of the movie, and this movie just doesn't let up. I mean, this is like pedal to the metal. It's a great zombie movie.
Yes, it is. This movie's not on my list, and I knew I would catch shit for that. So I'm really glad it's on your list because this is kind of, if you don't know what you're in the mood for, you find out really quick. Like you said, it is pedal to the metal. I remember seeing this in theater. Did you see it in theater?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, like this movie's filled with rock music. It's filled with fast-paced zombies, and it's interesting because it sounds very daring to remake a classic zombie movie, but they do it all the time. So how can you stand out? Well, they found a way to do it, and I think the opening is kind of the biggest set piece for it. Whenever she runs outside and you
Hmm.
kind of pan the whole neighborhood, and all you see is from the right to the left of like a a non-stop situation of people getting butchered and murdered, and there's like fire and ambulances and smoke flying from the neighborhood. I mean, it, to be honest with you, it almost sets up like a video game. It's so chaotic.
Yeah, and I love that aerial shot of like her driving
Yes.
down that road and the cars just like crashing around her, and like the one car drives right into the gas station, the whole thing blows up. It's just really cool. It's like, dang.
I feel like World War Z pulled a lot from what they did in this movie with that.
Oh yeah, I can see that, yeah.
It's an awesome number. Man, that's crazy. That's your number five. Okay, sweet. Um, I can't match you on the intensity of that, but I can tell you about my number five. We're going back to 1981. It's the opening to Halloween 2. And
Oh
so,
yes. Yeah.
this is my favorite Halloween film. But it's only as good as it is because of how good number one is. But when you pair them together, it's amazing. And so Halloween 2 opens up. You have Mr. Sandman playing. We see orange font. It says Haddonfield, Illinois, October 31st, 1978. And we are revisiting the final moments of the original film. And we get to see Laurie Strode. She's telling Tommy and Lindsay, go down the street to the Mackenzie's house. The Halloween theme starts to play very quietly, but it has this like 80s synth type version by Alan Hallworth. So it's not what we're used to, but it sets us up for the idea that we're getting something new. They leave, and we see Michael Myers do his infamous sit up in the background. He attempts to strangle Laurie. We see Dr. Loomis sees the kids run outside, so he knows Myers is inside. He runs upstairs, unloads his gun into Michael Myers, causing Michael Myers to fall off the balcony and into the yard. Loomis runs downstairs, and this is kind of all new footage now. But when Loomis runs downstairs, he goes out the front door, and we see the imprint of where Michael has fallen. Michael's gone. Loomis goes over and he touches it, and he gets blood on his hands, which is really cool because the whole time you don't know if this is a man or supernatural, but we find out whatever it is, it bleeds. A neighbor runs outside and he's like, "What's going on out here?" And Loomis is like, "Tell the sheriff I shot him. Tell him he's still on the loose." And then the neighbor says, "Is this some kind of joke? I've been trick or treated to death tonight." And then Loomis, with the utmost perfect response, he just goes, "You don't know what death is." And then cue the Halloween theme. Loomis runs off, and we get the black screen, orange font, the jack-o'-lantern zoom in. It's the reason why, for some people, it's the best Halloween sequel. I love it.
Yeah, it's such a good opening, and some people may say, "Oh, they're doing a recap of the first movie. That's kind of filler." Yeah, but it fits with the opening. Like it kind of like they blend it in, so it works. And yeah, I love that line. You don't know what death is, and then the
Oh,
music
so good.
starts. So good, yeah, and yeah, it's cool. And it's just I love watching one and two together because they just like mesh together so well. Um, even though they were made like I don't know years apart, but they still feel
Right, from
like
like 78 to 81. But I
yeah.
can't think of a time where I'd seen a movie, like, especially, you know, to the first time I saw Halloween 1 and 2, which would have been probably in the 90s, early 90s. But I mean, movies weren't known to do that. That had to have been insane to start off part two and then have like that just perfect blend.
Yeah, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if this is kind of the first thing to. I mean, we've had sequels before, so
Well,
um,
yeah, and they
but
usually, but they're like flashback scenes, but this one
yeah,
like shoots a whole new thing, and it feels like it's the end of the other one, and
uh-huh.
it's so good. And you know, hey, we tip our hats to what Halloween Kills did too. That was great also. But anyway,
Oh yeah.
that was my number five. Let's go to your number four.
Okay. My number four. This is a more recent movie. It follows from 2014. Um, so I like this one. This one's kind of unique, or I don't know if it's unique. It's kind of an interesting one because it just drops the audience into confusion without really an explanation of what's going on. And it establishes the rules of the movie like visually without really telling you what it is, but it shows you what happens. Like, it uh, basically the premise, we see a girl and she is afraid of something and she's like being chased by something. Uh, she like leaves her house in a hurry and drives away and she's kind of like not dressed fully or something. I don't know, and it just seems like she leaves her house in a hurry. And she drives and she's like on this ends up on the lake shore on a beach or something like that. And then she's just like has her back to the water and just facing out and you don't really know what's going on at this point. And then all of a sudden it's just like smash cut. Her body is like mangled and she's dead. You're like, what the hell just happened? Um so yeah, it's just this is kind of like nightmare fuel or like almost like dream logic because we have very erratic behavior from the girl. We don't have any context for what's happening. And then she's having this conversation. I think she's like on the phone with somebody, I think, because she's
Yeah, I
trying to
think
call
she
her.
talks to her dad, right?
Yeah,
Or
she's
her parents
trying
or
to
something. Yeah.
like call her dad and talk to her dad, tell her that she loves him and then all of a sudden just does that smash cut. And so this really sets up the film's core fear, where you can't see the danger, you can't escape it. The tone is actually kind of quiet, but it's still relentless and really unsettling. So I really just love this opening, and I think this is a great example of like modern day great horror filmmaking.
Yeah, for sure. I love your pick, man. I think it's really cool that it came right after my Halloween because I feel like the beginning of this has a very Halloween, like John Carpenter, Dean Cundey vibe. The way that the camera kind of pans the neighborhood, and I mean, it looks like Haddonfield, to be honest with
Oh
you.
yeah.
And maybe that was inspiration, but I love It Follows. Not on my list today, but that was the first horror movie I showed Julie actually because I
Oh
think
wow.
it's so amazing. And also, yeah, if you ever plan to be with somebody, maybe don't start off with that movie because then you may ruin your chances to be intimate. I got pretty lucky more ways than one, but I'm just saying, sorry. What was I thinking? But
That's true. I
but
didn't think of
yeah, I
that.
was just like stupid, stupid, stupid. But no, love that movie, love that pick. And again, I think that's the perfect example of um, just coming out of the gate, putting your cards on the table, and letting the audience just kind of go like we're in for a ride. So great, great number four.
Yeah.
My number four from 1988. It's actually A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. And so, I'm in my 40s. Andy's in his 40s. We grew up pretty much studying and loving horror movies of the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And I have to just go, dig through the bag a little bit and pull some of these gems out. I have a Halloween franchise. I got a Freddy franchise on here. And a lot of the Freddy movies have really cool openings. And I know the first one's pretty notorious for a lot of people. But if I'm being honest, I feel like I watched part three and four the most. And again, kind of like Halloween 1 and 2, they just go together really well. And I feel like the opening of A Nightmare on Elm Street 4 is a prime example of less is more. And so the opening of this movie starts out with the beginning of a song called Nightmare, which is performed by Tuesday Night, which I love, Andy. I don't know about you, but I have that song on my Spotify. That is an amazing song. And we get that New Line Cinema logo. It's the house that Freddy built. You got the vibes, and it's crazy because the last time that we had Nightmare on Elm Street up until this point was Dream Warriors, and that got our blood pumping. And it was just 1 year before Dream Master, and so we get a black screen, and then red letters come up, and it's a verse from the Bible. It says, "When deep sleep falleth on men, fear come upon me, and trembling, which made all of my bones shake." Which I could only assume is referring to like being paralyzed by fear or facing night terrors or a demon. And I mean, that's kind of what the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise is all about. And then we get our intro credits, and I can't explain, Andy, but I know you're going to understand. There's just something about how well like music gels with certain scenes. Like sometimes when a director uh, um, can play the right song or right sound effect, like hit all the cues, it just amplifies the situation so much so. And I feel like you get that with this, and it's so simple. Like the music ramps up, it leads to the chorus, and the credits. Up until this point, New Line Cinema, produced by Robert Shea, directed by Rennie Harlan. But then it says Robert Englund in, and then you get a Freddy slash whoosh right across the screen. It says A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, and then the subtext slides in a blue font, the Dream Master. It just gives you chills, like much like the Halloween 2 intro. And as much as like I enjoy seeing all the actors' names, like it then kind of starts showing in the background like some sidewalk chalk, and for a good minute, somebody's just drawing, and we get to listen to the whole song, and then it's revealed that the child was drawing the Nightmare on Elm Street house, and I went back and I rewatched all those intros, and when I watched this one, it hit me. I remember being a kid watching this movie and thinking that was such a great opening, so I decided, hey, it's Nightmare 4, let's put it at number 4.
Cool. Yeah, this is a cool pick, man. I'm kind of guilty. I feel guilty as I haven't seen this movie for a long time, so I don't even remember the beginning. I need to kind of watch through these movies again, I feel like. But yeah, I mean, Freddy was such an icon in the 80s, man. So you can't go, you got to have a Nightmare on Elm Street movie in there somewhere.
You have to.
Okay. So my number three. So this is one of my uh very near and dear favorite movies of all time. This is Chud from 1984. And I don't know, the beginning for me, it's like it's not like a flashy beginning, but it's like um as far as like setting up the environment or setting up the whatever the feeling of the movie, like it shows you this slow, it's just like this grimy urban decay, like the city, and it's just kind of more sets the mood. Um, and it kind of almost feels like you have a crime drama set up here. You got the big city, you got a lady walking her dog alone at night in this, dark streets, late at night, whatever. And then as she's walking down the street, she walks next to a manhole cover, and of course it opens up. This monstrous hand reaches out, grabs her by the leg, and pulls her and the dog into the sewer. And then you get the Chud letters popping out at you. The opening credits. This is a cool opening. Um, and with this movie, you kind of get like some social commentary in here. So you got the homeless people disappearing. You got sewer imagery. It suggests like unseen. There's things going on beneath the city that we don't know what's going on, and so I love that kind of stuff. And we got government conspiracies and stuff like that, and it just sets it up. We kind of see our city here as like a hostile environment, and it just really kind of sets up the paranoia of the film, like what's going to happen next. And so it's a perfect opening to one of my absolute favorite movies.
I love your pick. I think that's awesome. That is such a great movie, and you're right. The opening of that movie again just kind of sets the standard of the backdrop you're going to get, and if you like it, you'll love it.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that you're number three because this again shows why we're best buds. My number three is not Chud, but check this out. My number three is from 1989. It's Friday the 13th, Part 8. Jason Takes
Oh yeah.
Manhattan.
Yeah.
So we're both opening up with something similar. So with my Jason movie, you notice I had to dip in the Friday the 13th stuff now. So we open with a rock song, but it's playing really low, and a voice narrates over it, and the voice says, "It's like this. We live in claustrophobia, a land of steel and concrete, trapped by dark waters. There is no escape, nor do we want it. We've come to thrive on it and each other. You can't get the adrenaline pumping without the terror, good people. I love this town." And right when he stops, the 80s song ballad starts to get louder. And Andy, I love this damn song. It's The Darkest Side of the Night by Metropolis. And So much like what
Yeah.
you said, the same reasons I choose this movie is the whole time we get to see New York in 1989. You get the backdrops of the gritty and grimy streets. We see people getting robbed. There's probably a lady walking her dog. I don't remember. But you have gang members shooting up heroin. There's just dark alleys. There's smoke. There's fog. There's sewers. There's diners. There's subways. Statue of Liberty, Times Square. It's just showing you like something like you had to be there to experience it. And I feel like every time I see the opening of this movie, I wish I was there.
Yeah, it's just another gritty New York kind of setting, and I wish more of the movie honestly took place in New York. But yeah, it's such a great opening. It really sets the tone for the rest of the movie. For the Jason goes to New York, and Jason
Hey,
takes
at least it
Manhattan. Yeah,
it starts there and it ends there.
exactly. And yeah, such a great song, man. I love that song too. The song that plays over the credits, and
Yes.
it's such a great like '80s like hair metal song.
Yes. It's so irritating that that song does not stream on like Spotify, so you just have to
Oh,
go to
really?
YouTube
Wow.
and look it up. So if
Okay.
anybody, I would tell people if it's been a long time since you've seen the movie, go watch the intro. You can find it on YouTube. But if nothing else, just watch the intro for that banger of a song, man. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it.
All right, man, we're down to our top two. What do you got for number two?
So this is this I don't know, this might be kind of controversial because it's a movie I don't particularly care for, but I really love the opening. And this is Halloween H2O from 1998.
Interesting. Okay.
So, this is a legacy sequel. We get Jamie Lee Curtis back, and she is kind of reprising her role of Laurie Strode. And immediately we get this connection to the original Halloween. We have Nurse Chambers coming back. So we get that instant gratification. Um, and I really just like the setup here. Basically, she comes home and she finds out that her house has been broken into. Yeah, so she's freaked out because she thinks there could be somebody still in the house. So she walks over to her neighbors, which happen to be Jimmy and his friend. And Jimmy's played by
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, which is this is a cool like cameo for him, I feel like, because I don't think he's really been in a whole lot of horror movies. And so he plays a great character, Jimmy. And I love this whole setup here. I love this. I don't know why this like opening feels so different from the rest of the movie for me. Like I love the setup here. The acting's great. You have good characters, and you have like good scares. You have suspense building up, and then you have good reveals. You have some kills and stuff. So this opening just really brings it all together. So I just really love it, and I wish the movie matched up to this opening, but I don't think it does.
That's because you hate the mask.
Yeah, the mess is definitely a problem.
No, great pick, my dude. I'm with you. I think that the opening to H2O is awesome. There is definitely instant gratification with reoccurring characters, especially Nurse Chambers. You haven't seen her since part two. And it's really cool because they kind of put some hockey in it. Hockey's my favorite sport, and
Yeah,
Jimmy likes his hockey. He's got his hockey stick and his ice skates. He gets to know his ice skates really well, I think. But
yeah,
yeah, that's a cool. And that scene makes me laugh too because when he's like going through her kitchen, I remember he's like, "Oh yeah, they messed up your kitchen too," but it was him.
yeah. Yeah, he was like stealing her beer.
Yeah, the good stuff, man. Good pick.
Oh yeah.
I think this is kind of funny again. My number two, not H2O, but it's also a movie that you don't care for very much. But now
Okay.
I'm wondering how you feel about the beginning. My number two is from 1980. It's He Knows You're Alone.
Okay.
All right, so let me remind you about this movie. So, this movie opens up with a car, and it's got steamed up windows, which can only mean we got some teenagers inside, and they're getting hot and heavy, and we hear some sounds outside. So it sounds like somebody's maybe walking around the car, and the girl says, "I hope it's not my boyfriend." Okay, she's making out with a guy. She says, "I hope it's not my boyfriend," already establishing that she's breaking all the rules and she's probably going to die in this movie. The guy, he gets out, he goes to investigate. Of course, he's gone way too long, so she gets out to goes, looks for him. Then we hear a strange sound, and it's almost like a tapping.
Hmm.
She grabs a flashlight, she circles the car, and finds her lover, I guess, strung upside down, dead, And the tapping noise is when his body swings, his ring is tapping on the car window. But that's when we notice, we're in a movie theater and this is just the movie that's playing on the screen. I'm like, okay, what are we getting into here? Well, the two women are sitting there, they're watching the movie. One of them is clearly bothered by the movie and she's like, I can't take this no more. I got to go to the bathroom. So she gets up, she leaves her other friend staying behind who's eating popcorn, watching the movie. And this is cool because we accompany her on her journey to the bathroom. And I say it's cool because it looks like she's in this kind of old movie theater. It looks really neat. Anyways, she gets into the bathroom and, she brushes her hair, she goes pee or whatever. But when she's in the stall, we hear footsteps enter the bathroom. And she peeks out through a crack in the stall, and we get this kind of like nerve-wracking close-up of her eye, and we hear the faucet dripping in the background. She gets up, she hurries back to her friend in the movie theater. She tries to tell her friend, I think I'm being followed. And of course, her friend thinks that she's spooked by the movie. But then someone enters the movie theater, and we don't see this person from like the shoulders up. This person walks up and sits directly behind them. Never mind the fact that the theater like has tons of free open seats. This person sits right behind her, so you know this is bad. When the guy sits there, we get this. I don't know what the director was doing with this, but I love his decisions. He instead of showing us the whole guy's face, we get this close up of his like Bela Lugosi looking eyes. It's real creepy. It's like a deadpan stare. And the movie's still playing on the screen, and there's a scene where in the movie a girl's in a barn and she opens a door and she gets stabbed by a masked killer. Well, at this exact moment, the guy who sat behind her pulls out a knife and then jabs it in her back, cleverly disguising the screams, right? And
Oh,
so,
yeah.
he gets up and he leaves. She falls over on her friend's shoulder, dead. And her friend, reaches over to shake her and she's like, come on, you'll be fine. But then her friend gets blood on their hands and realizes that her friend had just been murdered. And then when she kind of like jolts back to scream, one of my favorite thing in the world happens, freeze frame. And so it does a freeze frame on her screaming and then it fades to a still image of our killer's eyes and then a red title card, it pops up. And I love when older movies used to do this with the titles where it would just kind of creep up out of nowhere and it says, he knows you're alone. And then the red font transitions to a red siren of a detective car. And it's fantastic. And we look, if you know, you know, but Kevin Williamson has confessed that he borrowed this for his opening in Scream 2, which is why the opening in Scream 2 is so good. So my number two, obviously, it's a movie that I've said Andy doesn't love or whatever. I definitely love it more than he does, and that's okay. But what do you think about the opening as I described it?
I mean, it sounds really cool. It's definitely something I'm gonna have to watch again. But yeah, it sounds really suspenseful. And yeah, I love that it inspired the opening for Scream 2. Definitely sounds similar, and uh but probably like Scream 2 kind of went a little bit crazier, but
Oh
but
yeah, yeah,
but it's cool to
18 years later.
yeah, it's cool to though this you could definitely I'm sure this yeah, like you said, this is definitely inspiration for like this inspired other movies, so this is definitely a great opening. I'm just yeah, I just need to rewatch this movie because I remember you love this movie and I've seen it a couple of times. But yeah, I definitely need to rewatch it though.
Yeah, it's a slasher, man. And, 1980, it was Tom Hanks' first movie.
Yeah.
I'll confess real quick of why I love this movie so much because I know Julie, I've been with her for almost like 6 years. I still have never shown her this movie. You think if I loved a
Oh
movie so
wow.
much, I'd be like, you need to watch this. And I have no excuse as to why I haven't shown this movie or why we've never covered it on the podcast. It's just one that I've always loved and kept, I guess, personal to me because maybe to me it's like I like it. Maybe I think other people won't. I don't really know. But it's funny because it's like Tom Hanks' first credit in a movie. So it's kind of funny to see him pop up. But the same reasons we love some of the 80s movies with the New York is another reason why I love this one. I don't remember the town that it takes place in. And it's not a big city like New York or anything. It almost gives me like a big like Pennsylvania type vibe. But it's just like, because it's a movie that came out in 80, it's got the late 70s vibe to it and it feels very homey. It's like cold, and there's like a carnival in it, and there's a little serial kill. I don't know, man. It all works, but it's a movie I recommend. And hey, maybe I can convince you to watch it, but don't get your hopes up. I'm not sending it back to you.
No. All right. So, all right, down to our number ones.
Number one, let's hear what your favorite horror movie opening is.
All
From
right. Drum roll. So, yeah, joy to the
Oh,
world. Uh,
exactly.
no, so my number one is it's Scream 1996.
Had to be.
I mean nobody's gonna be surprised. But yeah, I mean you've got this like this Scream kind of reinvents the slasher movie, but also kind of honors the slasher movie too. Um, and this opening works like if you're not even like a horror movie fan, this opening still works. And you got Drew Barrymore. Everybody thought she was going to be the final girl, and then she gets killed in the opening, so that was quite a shock. But you get some humor, you get some pop culture in this opening, and then you have the building suspense throughout. The building menace because it quickly becomes more menacing as time goes on, and the danger level goes up, minute by minute. And but we do get kind of like some rules of horror too, like in this opening, which I liked. And but yeah, it's very brutal and kind of emotional too. With Drew Barrymore and her parents there, and it just shows us that nobody's safe in this movie. And this movie is here to play for keeps. It's very just very sets it sets the tone for the rest of the movie, and I think the movie just keeps going up from there.
Yeah, it's a pretty shocking opening because it's pretty violent. It's nasty in nature. Again, we were led to believe Drew Barrymore was the star, and we get a 1960s psycho move right in front of us. And I know it's funny you said like you don't have to be a horror fan to love it, and I'll agree with you. And I'll say what's funny about that statement is you could also say the opposite. You could say if you love horror, then it'll make you love the opening even more because it is a total love letter to slashers and stuff.
That's true, yeah.
But
Yeah.
great pick. And if I'm being honest, I knew that was your number one. I told Julie,
Yeah.
I was just like, I know Andy, and I actually called it. I said the Dawn of the Dead remake and
Oh yeah.
Scream have to be on your list, which is why, and the only reason why Scream is not on my list today,
Okay.
because I knew it was safe on your list.
Yeah.
Great pick. You've made everybody happy, my dude.
Yeah.
Which is really cool because now I can piss everybody off. You ready?
All right, let's hear it.
All right. My number one is from 2016. It's the opening to The Conjuring Part 2.
Oh, okay.
All right, Andy, you and I both love Michael Myers. We love Halloween. We both love The Howling, but one of my all-time favorite franchises is the Amityville Horror.
Oh yeah.
When they showed the trailer for The Conjuring 2, there was never an indication that the movie was going to have anything to do with Amityville. Now, if you know the story of Ed and Lorraine Warren, then you might suspect an Amityville tie-in at some point, but they never promoted it. So, this movie opens up, birds are chirping, it's daytime, it's beautiful outside, and we're focusing on a little house, and the camera just kind of starts to pan back, and we hear Lorraine Warren say, "After everything we've seen, there isn't much that rattles either of us anymore. But this one still haunts me." The birds start chirping, and then you cue the haunting music by Joseph Bishara, who I think has scored everything or almost everything in the James Waniverse. The camera angle now reveals that we are in the upstairs of the Amityville Horror House. Instantly, Andy, I freeze. I'm dead. You got me. Take my money. I am sold. And in case you're not sure about how you know it's the Amityville house, it's because the aesthetics of the 112 Ocean Avenue home has very specific windows that resemble creepy eyes. And
Yeah.
so, if you know, you know. And again, that lead up was just like, oh my, oh. And then we get yellow font that appears on the screen. It says Amityville, New York, 1976. And again, I mean, here I am loving Amityville, and I'm getting extra Amityville love that I didn't intend on seeing. And so Lorraine's voice, it continues. She says, 2 months prior to our involvement, the Lutz's family had fled their home in the middle of the night, claiming that the house is haunted. The church had reached out to us for help. They wanted to see if we could confirm the activity that had been reported by the Lutzes. Okay, cool. So then we get to go downstairs with Lorraine, and she's sitting with Ed and the family, and they're gonna have a seance. And I'm like, could this movie get any better? Like, this is amazing. This is totally up my alley. And then we see Lorraine do kind of like an astro projection of herself, and she starts walking through the house on the night of the DeFeo murders. And for those who don't know, Ronnie DeFeo, oldest son, claimed to be possessed, murdered his family with a shotgun. Well, Lorraine is basically walking in his shoes and she's reenacting the traumatic events. And it's done in a way that it's not tasteless, because I know that's a sensitive matter being based on a true story, but it sends chills down your spines. And we also get our first introduction in a very quick jump scare of the nun, who went on to be an amazing antagonist in the franchise. And in this scene, the nun kind of starts to choke out Lorraine, but then she snaps out of it. Ed kind of brings her back to the, reality or whatever. And she's screaming and she's shaking and she's crying. And Ed takes her in her arms and, looks at her and she says, "Ed, that's as close to hell as I ever want to get." And then it freeze. There you go, another freeze frame. That it does a freeze frame, and then the color like starts to kind of like mute almost to like a septi tone background, and then yellow text scrolls from the bottom of the screen up, and it says The Conjuring 2. It's dark, it's scary, it's downright polarizing, and it's an easy choice for my number one spot. Great opening.
Yeah, I have to agree. This is a really cool opening. I agree. Anything Amityville is really cool, especially when it's done by like James Wan. So it's going to
Yes.
be good. And yeah, this was a cool opening, man, and it was really scary and really effective. And I kind of wish the rest of the movie would have been at Amityville, but that's okay. But yeah, I mean, it's really cool, man. This is a great pick.
Yeah, and well, if you're feeling Amityville, you got like 50 movies to choose from, Andy.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Not to the caliber of what this movie was, or the first eight Amityvilles, but yeah, I gotta say, when I you and I talked about this idea, a lot of these movies were on my brain, but I had a fun time having to put them in order, and I'm very happy with how my list turned out. How about you?
Yeah, no, it's a fun episode. It's a just a great idea to generate a good conversation and
Go ahead and pat yourself on the back. Go ahead.
yeah.
People like it. But speaking of patting yourself on the back, you kind of led this other idea of what we should do this month. And so we knew starting out we're going to do this top five. Let's go ahead and tell the screamers what else we got planned.
Yeah, so the next movie that I picked, my pick, we're actually doing Swamp Thing. From was it 1984, I think.
82, maybe
82.
84, definitely early 80s though.
Yeah, it's got Adrian Barbeau, and oh, it's got Dave David Hess.
Yes, from Last House.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so this will be a cool movie. I think I might have seen this like a long time ago, but I really don't remember too much about it. So this is really going to be a fun watch for me. And I didn't even realize it was directed by Wes Craven. So like that got us thinking like, hey, Scream's coming out this month. We're doing a Wes Craven movie. So Dave, you're like, man, let's just keep the ball rolling. We're gonna do a Kevin Williams. Well, do you want me to reveal it yet or
You
not?
might as well go ahead.
Okay. So we're gonna do a Kevin Williamson movie next after this. So Dave, what's your pick?
Though Kevin and Wes have done many a great movies, and I'm pretty excited for Swamp Thing because I've never seen Swamp Thing. I've heard a podcast on it, but that's it. Also, the first probably PG movie that we're ever going to podcast about. Doesn't feel weird at all, Andy. But my Kevin Williamson movie is going to be rated R, and I said let's do The Faculty. And so I know Andy loves
Yeah.
The Faculty. I love The Faculty. It's a product of the late '90s. Sounds like a great like double feature: Swamp Thing and The Faculty.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Lots of good. Uh, I guess the faculty has practical effects, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a healthy mix, and it's Robert Rodriguez
Yeah.
and stuff. But it's from the mind of Kevin Williamson and shit. That's what we love. So
Yeah.
yeah, if you want, I think Swamp Thing is on Tubi, maybe more free services, and The Faculty I think is on Paramount Plus. So if you guys want to rewatch those movies before hearing Andy and I dissect them, you know where to find them. Andy, you got anything else?
No, that's it for me.
All right. As always, we appreciate you guys checking out this episode. I'm Phantom Dark Dave,
And I'm Abnormal Andy.
And I'll say it again. Thanks for listening to the Screaming Skull podcast.
See ya.